Right now, we got a question for you this morning. Would you support the legalization of marijuana? You can weigh in right now, 12news.com/bullhorn. Organizers of the Smart and Safe Arizona Act say they have the signatures to get pot on the ballot in November. Now, local organizations have collected more than 400,000 signatures, which is actually more than what they need to get it on the ballot. Secretary of State Katie Hobbs will have until August to decide whether or not the initiative will actually make the ballot and for us to vote on it. But what exactly do proponents want on this? Well, the initiative would call for a tax on recreational marijuana. Employers are not required to accommodate the use of pot at work, and the measure would allow people who have been arrested or convicted of some marijuana offense to petition to have their records expunged. But what do you think? Would you vote in favor of this or against it? You can message us right now, 602-444-1212. This message coming into us from Jose. Nope, we have too many crazy people. You want to throw more gasoline on the fire? Jose, funny with that one. This one's from Mo. Yes, there will be less crime and fewer people in jail. Coming in from Ariana. Yes, all that tax money can help us with education and more on the economy. It's not our fault for people who can't control themselves, can't blame marijuana on that. You can continue to weigh in right now. Taking a look at just the poll here, 71% of you say yes, you would vote in favor of legalizing recreational marijuana. You can keep weighing in, 12news.com/bullhorn.